Most people think vitamin D is just about bones. Strong bones, calcium, maybe a little sunshine, that's it, right? But what if I told you that vitamin D behaves less like a vitamin and more like a powerful hormone that controls systems all across your body? And when it drops too low, the symptoms aren't always obvious, they can be strange, confusing, and completely unexpected. You might feel anxious for no reason. You might notice your hair falling out in patches. You could even experience crawling sensations in your legs at night. These aren't random problems, they could all be signals that your body is lacking something critical. Let's break down the 10 weirdest signs of vitamin D deficiency and understand why they happen. The first category starts with your bones, but it goes far beyond just strength. Yes, vitamin D helps your body absorb calcium, but calcium isn't just for bones, it's a signaling molecule used in almost every system in your body. When vitamin D is low, your body struggles to absorb enough calcium from your diet, but your blood still needs calcium to function properly. So what happens? Your body pulls calcium out of your bones to keep your blood levels stable. This process is controlled by a hormone released from the parathyroid gland. Over time, this leads to weakened bones, bone pain, tooth sensitivity, and even back pain. In severe cases, it can result in fractures or slow healing, but it doesn't stop there. Vitamin D also activates cells called osteoblasts, which are responsible for building new bone. Without enough vitamin D, your body not only loses bone, but also struggles to rebuild it. The second strange sign is muscle weakness. Muscles don't just rely on nerve signals, they also need calcium to contract properly. Vitamin D helps transport calcium into muscle cells. When levels are low, muscles become weaker, especially the larger muscles close to your core, like your thighs and hips. You might notice difficulty climbing stairs, standing up from a chair, or lifting objects. It's subtle at first, but it can significantly affect your daily life. The third sign is a depressed mood or emotional imbalance. Because vitamin D acts like a hormone, it directly influences brain chemistry. It helps regulate key neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin. Dopamine drives motivation and desire, while serotonin controls mood and emotional stability. When vitamin D levels drop, these systems become less balanced. You may feel irritable, unmotivated, or even depressed without understanding why. The fourth sign is one of the strangest: excessive sweating, especially on the scalp or hairline. This is actually a classic symptom of vitamin D deficiency. The reason lies in your nervous system. Low vitamin D leads to low calcium, which increases the excitability of your autonomic nervous system, the system responsible for stress responses. This can trigger sweating even when you're not physically active or stressed. Night sweats are also common in this situation. The fifth sign is a craving for sunlight or feeling instantly better when you get it. This isn't just psychological. When your skin is exposed to sunlight, your body begins producing vitamin D. But interestingly, the mood boost you feel happens almost immediately, long before vitamin D is fully produced. This is due to a predictive response in your brain. Your brain recognizes sunlight as a signal that help is on the way, and it begins adjusting your chemistry right away. The sixth sign is fatigue and low energy. Vitamin D plays a key role in your mitochondria, the tiny structures inside your cells that produce energy. These mitochondria generate ATP, which is the actual fuel your body uses. When vitamin D is low, mitochondrial efficiency drops. This means less energy production, even if you're eating enough food. You may feel tired, sluggish, and mentally drained because your cells simply aren't producing energy efficiently. The seventh sign is hair loss, particularly a condition known as alopecia areata, where hair falls out in patches. Vitamin D helps regulate the life cycle of hair follicles, including growth, rest, and shedding phases. When levels are low, follicles can get stuck in the resting phase, leading to brittle hair and hair loss. Additionally, vitamin D helps regulate your immune system. Without it, your immune system may mistakenly attack your own hair follicles, causing further damage. The eighth strange sign of vitamin D deficiency is restless leg syndrome, that uncomfortable crawling, tingling, or pulling sensation in your legs that seems to show up the moment you finally lie down and try to rest. For many people, it feels almost impossible to explain unless they've experienced it themselves. It's not exactly pain, but it's deeply uncomfortable. It creates this irresistible urge to move your legs, shift positions, stretch, or get up and walk around. And the worst part is that it often shows up at night, precisely when your body is supposed to be winding down for sleep. So, what does vitamin D have to do with that? Quite a lot, actually. One important connection is dopamine. Dopamine is often talked about as the motivation chemical, but it also plays a major role in movement control. This is why dopamine problems are closely tied to movement disorders. Vitamin D helps regulate dopamine activity in the brain, and when vitamin D levels fall too low, dopamine signaling can become less efficient. That creates a kind of nervous system misfiring, where your brain and muscles are no longer communicating as smoothly as they should. The result can be that strange sensation that your legs need to move, even when you're exhausted and trying to stay still. Calcium also plays a role here. Vitamin D helps your body absorb and regulate calcium, and calcium is critical for proper nerve signaling. When vitamin D is low, calcium balance becomes disrupted. This can make nerves more irritable and more prone to overreacting. In the legs, that can mean involuntary twitches, prickling sensations, and that disturbing feeling that something is crawling under your skin. Together, the dopamine disruption and calcium imbalance create the perfect setup for restless legs, especially at night when dopamine naturally decreases. The ninth sign is brain fog and poor concentration. This is one of the most overlooked symptoms of low vitamin D because people often blame it on stress, lack of sleep, or just being busy. But vitamin D has a surprisingly deep influence on brain function. It helps regulate calcium signaling inside your neurons, and that matters because brain cells depend on highly controlled electrical and chemical communication. When vitamin D levels are healthy, those signals are clean, efficient, and well organized. But when vitamin D is low, the system becomes noisy. Communication between brain cells turns less precise, almost like static interfering with a radio signal. Vitamin D also supports something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, often abbreviated as BDNF. This substance acts almost like fertilizer for your brain. It helps support the growth of new neural connections, repair damaged pathways, and improve the brain's ability to adapt and learn. This process, known as neuroplasticity, is what allows you to learn new skills, recover from stress, and stay mentally flexible. Without enough vitamin D, BDNF support can weaken, and that means your brain may not adapt or recover as efficiently. Over time, that can contribute to persistent mental fatigue, reduced focus, and slower cognitive performance. The 10th and final sign is chronic pain, and this is where vitamin D deficiency becomes even more fascinating and more serious. Pain is not just something that happens in your muscles or joints. It is the result of signals being sent from your body to your brain and then interpreted there. Vitamin D helps regulate this entire process at multiple levels. In the peripheral nervous system, which includes the nerves throughout your body, vitamin D helps keep pain signaling accurate and controlled. When levels are low, those nerves can become more sensitive. That means they may send stronger signals in response to the same level of pressure or irritation. A sensation that should feel mild may start to feel exaggerated. Then once those signals reach the central nervous system, the brain and spinal cord, vitamin D also helps regulate how strongly they are interpreted. Without enough vitamin D, the brain may amplify those signals even more, making pain feel more intense and last longer. When you step back and look at these symptoms together, restless legs, brain fog, and chronic pain, you start to see just how far-reaching vitamin D really is. It is not just a bone nutrient. It affects your nervous system, your brain, your muscles, your immune system, and even how your body perceives the world around it. That's why a deficiency can look so strange and so different from person to person. At the end of the day, your body is always communicating with you. Sometimes it whispers instead of shouting. The challenge is learning how to listen. If your symptoms seem random, mysterious, or disconnected, vitamin D deficiency may be one of the simplest explanations hiding in plain sight. And sometimes understanding that is the first step toward finally feeling like yourself again. We're here to help you understand your body better, so subscribe and stay connected.